Zena viewers, today we bring to you a leader, an entrepreneur, and a lifelong learner. Our guest is the founder of Healthathon Tech, a pioneer health tech venture that is redefining the way we approach wellness, making it smarter, more personalized, and deeply rooted in science. With an illustrious career spanning leadership across renowned organizations like Shaw Wallace, Wipro Consumer Care, Haynes, Dalmia Group, and even the global Dangor Group, he has led impactful initiatives from shaping corporate identity to launching iconic products and building large scale strategies. But what makes his journey truly inspiring is his transformation beyond boardrooms. A passionate cyclist, a marathon runner, and a firm believer that health is not accidental, it is a well defined system. An author of We the Leaders, a BBC mastermind quizzer, and a curious mind who continues to explore subjects ranging from digital innovation to philosophy, he embodies the spirit of continuous growth. And now, with his upcoming book, co authored with a physician, he is on a mission to help people not just to live longer, but healthier and better. Let's dive into a conversation with that promises insights, inspiration, and fresh perspective on leadership and life itself. Viewers, let us please welcome Mr. Salil Sahu. Salilji, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rashmi. It's a pleasure to be here. And thank you very much, Zena family, for this opportunity.
So, Salilji, आपका introduction तो मैंने करा. But
Okay.
beyond my introduction, which I've done, can you tell us more about yourself? What Mr. Salil Sahu is actually?
Okay, it's a difficult question to answer, I think, but it correlates with a lot of things that you have described about my career trajectory.
Right.
So I think of myself as a constant learner, and I want to. And one of the basic things that I want to do is I want to improve myself, or I want to change myself in a positive direction every day. So every day I want to see that I'm better than yesterday. That's number one. The number two, I am actually, I realize that when I'm reflecting on it, I am engaged with a lot of things that life can offer. So, so I'm interested in quite a bit in reading, but within reading, I know I read across genres. I know I read philosophy, I read biology, I read physics, I'm into poetry, I'm into art. Okay, so I'm into literature, novels. So I'm into all kinds of things. And when I'm pursuing fitness, I see, for example, I'm a part of a large fitness group here. So I see a lot of people pursuing only, let's say, cycling or running or whatever. But I'm into cycling, I'm into running. I do gymming, I do yoga, I play a bit of squash also sometimes. And then my other interests are I'm very interested in music, food. So generally, a lot of things, a lot of activities that make life more interesting and offer a deeper and richer experience of life. So that's one part of it. The other part of it, I think, is that I know it's like to some extent, although I'm not speaking of it in a religious sense. It's to be good. It's that Buddhist philosophy of to be good, to pursue the right conduct, and pursue your goals within the right framework. So that's what I think I am.
Okay. So
and I live in Gurgaon, and Gurgaon.
Okay, that's so ये जो आपने सारा all your roles and everything, it was all planned or it just came unexpectedly to you?
See, what happened was, I think in India, if you're studying in India, when you're a student, you are either pushed into engineering or medicine.
Yeah.
Now, I think I saw, when I was probably in class 9th, I saw a frog being cut. And I was very scared of anything to do with biomedicine after that. So I did not even take biology in my class 11th and 12th. So I had to get into engineering. So that part was structured. Okay. And then, of course, when you're doing engineering in India, you have, again, 2-3 options. So one of the options is pursue an MBA. So I did that. So that is, I think, structure. And within the context and the amount of understanding that I had. So everything I did was some of my decisions, my
Yeah.
decision making, but a lot of
Right.
it was something like what I would call crowd wisdom. So you would, for
Okay.
example, you are choosing a branch. What do you do? So you say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is the branch of engineering that everybody is choosing, or the top
Mm-hmm.
rankers are choosing,
Right. Right.
etc.
Right.
So you go for that. So that part was structure. Then of
Mm-hmm.
course I joined the FMCG industry,
Mm-hmm.
and that is also to some extent structured. And once you join an industry, once you join a company, you are
Mm.
part of that system of the
Right.
company, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
part of a larger ecosystem of the industry. So
Right.
again, to large extent, that becomes structured. But what I try to do is within that, I try to move across functions and move across different kinds of companies, and to
Right.
see what I can learn from each experience. And
Mm-hmm.
so I would say that part is unstructured. So I worked in, for example, Wipro today.
Mm-hmm.
It's an Indian multinational, and
Mm-hmm. Right.
Heinz was an American multinational, and then I worked
Mm-hmm.
in some Indian companies. I worked in Africa for the largest conglomerate in Africa.
Okay.
And then the other part, which is unstructured to some extent, is because I was figuring out what to do,
Mm-hmm.
what to do. So relatively early, I was heading a business, and
Okay.
so that was becoming a routine thing to, let's say, pursue your profit goals for every year, and
Right. Right.
or let's say turnover goals.
Mm-hmm.
So I was exploring what to do, and then what happened was a friend of mine, a B school classmate of mine, he was into coaching, and he said, "Okay, I'll give you some pro bono coaching." So I went
Mm-hmm.
to that. So I reflected on lots of things on life in life that normally when you're working in a company, when you're in a very highly demanding role, you
Mm-hmm.
really don't pause and see where you are and where you want to go. I mean,
Right. Right.
do it to a very limited extent.
Right.
So I did that, and then I chose to move out of a corporate career and pursue entrepreneurship,
Mm.
which was slightly unusual for people of my background.
Right.
So that part became unstructured.
Okay.
So I think it's a combination of being structured and unstructured. And once you enter entrepreneurship, once you enter that uncharted path, everything
There's no
becomes
looking back. Yeah. There's no
yeah,
looking back. Right.
unstructured. So
Right.
there is no structure anymore.
Right. Right. So, like looking back, what has been the turning point of your life जहाँ आपने बिल्कुल ये सोचा कि हाँ मुझे यही करना है?
Sorry.
What looking back, like what has been
Yeah.
the turning point of your life?
So I think the turning point of no, because it's been very recent.
Right.
This is this move from the corporate career to doing something on my own. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so, so so it's while a corporate career is good and you are chasing roles, responsibilities, and higher perks and higher salaries, it
Mm.
has its own limitations because
Okay.
there is nothing. No role which can be specially designed for you, because let's say you are a particular individual with a particular set of skills and
Mm-hmm.
characteristics and persona,
Right. Right.
and the role, there can be a 70-80% overlap, if at all, at the maximum.
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
and, uh, so so uh, so this uh, so I was feeling a little stifled inside a role, and then I
Mm.
decided to move to to be on my own.
Okay.
So this is the biggest turning point, because a lot of things changed. Because for
Mm-hmm.
example, when you're in a company, you have, let's say, a company secretary to do your legal secretarial tasks, and here,
Right.
let's
Right.
say, you have to do it yourself. You have to get just
Mm.
300 pages xeroxed
Mm.
yourself. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have a office to get your tickets, or
Yeah.
fix your laptop or software. So you have to do
Mm-hmm.
everything on your own. So
Mm.
these things become completely different experiences, which you typically don't expect it to be to that level of change.
Okay.
So, and then at the same time, it gives you a lot of freedom. So while
Mm.
corporate careers are great, but here, you get a freedom. You decide what do you want to do, how do you want to structure
Mm-hmm.
the day, what is the goal that you want to set
Mm-hmm.
up for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And since I am also doing something in health tech, which is again new, it's not a, for
Yeah.
example, it's not a copy of any business model. So it's completely like pursuing a new path.
Mm-hmm.
So every decision I have to take is
Mm-hmm.
something which has not been taken before by anybody.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So this becomes again another major turning. So in decision making, it's a big turning point in terms of, let's say, your own setup, the kind of
Mm-hmm.
facility, the structure that you have around yourself. That's a
Mm-hmm.
turning point. In terms of
Okay.
freedom and risk and responsibility, that's a turning point. And yeah, so it's a whole set of things come together, and that's
Right.
why,
Right. Right.
I think it's the biggest turning point for me.
Okay. So, being a founder of such a good health tech initiative and making an empire, it's not easy. तो कभी आपको ऐसा लगा कि I will not be able to do it, or you wanted to give up? Was there any point at some point of the time you felt like that?
So the interesting thing, for any journey, for anybody uh, pursuing an entrepreneurial path, I think it's true
Right.
for almost everybody, is that
Right.
you go through huge ups and huge downs.
Right.
And
Right.
when it is a low, it can be a very bad low, and because there is really no support system around you,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense there is no supporting structure around you. you
Right.
are
Right.
you are on your own. And
Mm-hmm.
so you can go through a bad low. But
Mm-hmm.
I think the way where I am wired is, that giving up thing doesn't really come to me.
Okay.
I feel bad. I feel like really low, and I am confused for some time. But so there is some kind of stubbornness, or there is some kind of undying spirit which sort of again rises up, and then the next day I'm okay. So it's
Okay.
never been about giving up.
ओके तो ये आपका जैसे आपने बोला स्टबरनेस एंड सम लाइक रिजिड दिस थिंग एट मतलब आपका जो वो था नेचर वन डिसीजन व्हिच मेड यू चेंज व्हिच चेंज योर लाइफ फॉर यू कौन सा ऐसा डिसीजन आपने लिया जो पूरा ही आपका लाइफस्टाइल और सब कुछ चेंज कर दिया जिसने
I think it would be this decision only, because
ओके
it'll be this, uh, because it's this decision changes life. No, just to expand on what I was telling you a little earlier,
राइट
is that it forces you to have a mind shift. It
राइट
forces you to look at risks differently. Okay, because the dimension of the risk becomes much larger. It forces you to look at life itself differently, because life does not become an incremental journey. So it becomes either uh, something like a landscape for a lot of possibilities, or failure, right?
ओके
So yeah. So uh, and then it also forces you to look at the way you are responsible and accountable for so many other people, because
राइट
uh, as pursuing your own business with outside investments, you have that accountability, you have that responsibility for so many other people, so you have a
यस
duty also to do your best there. So yeah,
राइट राइट
so that decision changes actually almost everything in life.
एवरीथिंग या
Yeah.
राइट So in all your journey, कोई ऐसा time था which was the toughest phase of your life?
So the toughest phase of life, I think, is that I would say in 2006, Indian
Right.
retail was, if you were taking off. If you remember 2005, 6 onwards, that period was a time of euphoria for India. And
Mm-hmm.
India was and there's in fact global growth. Uh,
Right.
there's increasing globalization. There is increasing flow of capital, and
Right.
and then and especially for retail in India, it was a booming time. So
Mm-hmm.
so you had Tatas, Birlas, Ambanis, Goenkas, everybody who or global multinationals, Tesco, Cadfor, everybody was in India. So I had moved
Mm-hmm.
into retail that time,
Mm.
and there was a lot of optimism, buoyancy, and so in fact, Economic Times, for example, had, I think, used to give at least one full page for retail every day.
Okay.
So it
Okay.
was so that kind of energy and optimism about retail.
Mm.
But in 2000. 2008, somewhere in the middle of 2008, things started changing.
Hmm.
There was one company which in India which was supposed to go for an IPO, and there was a very negative article on this company about its financials, and that
Hmm.
company sort of folded up.
Okay.
And in the same time, there was Lehman crisis happening, the Lehman Brothers collapse,
Hmm.
so happening in the US, and
Hmm.
the subprime mortgage crisis. So 2008 October happened. So this, let's say, this company was about to go into an IPO in August and September, and then
Hmm.
October that financial crisis happened. So
Hmm.
the funds crunch was bad. The capital flows, which, and retail is a very high capital business.
Yeah,
If you want
actually,
to
yeah.
set up, there's a thousand stores, you need
Hmm.
let's say you need 2,000 crores or something. In order of,
Hmm.
you need money in order of thousands of crores. So
Okay.
it needed foreign capital, and because of the financial crisis, foreign capital dried up in India. So the
Okay.
industry which had really taken off, uh,
Hmm.
it shrunk, and shrunk very badly.
Okay.
And I was at the helm of things in my company, and this was
Hmm.
the first this kind of experience for me. And
Okay.
so we had to bear the brunt, and in the sense I had to bear the brunt in the sense that I had to take care of people. I had to ensure
Hmm.
that the talent stayed. I had to ensure that the business model survived or thrived to some extent. I had to
Hmm.
ensure that the future decisions we had taken in
Hmm.
a time when everything was expanding or growing,
Right, right.
those decisions had to be reversed because the times were completely different.
Hmm.
So, and then people were being asked to go in different companies, and
Hmm.
since the
Hmm.
industry was shrinking, they had no place to go to, because
Okay.
the jobs are shrinking everywhere, and so
Okay.
they had to go to other industries. So that was that was a very chaotic period, a very difficult period, and I think no, so I would consider that as my toughest page.
Okay. So coming to that only, when you were saying that you had to bear the brunt of everything, and you had to like be answerable. So kabhi matlab did you ever feel a tingling sense of doubt on yourself कि हाँ मैं ये नहीं कर पाऊंगा, or anything which made you regret or anything something like that?
Not regret exactly, yeah, but
Yeah.
doubt, of course, every day. Because you know, when you are doing when you are entering an uncharted space like this, which
Right. Right.
things changing fast, and
Right.
things breaking down, you have doubts and you question yourself. You then you talk to other people, you find out
Mm-hmm.
whether you are going right or whether you are going wrong. And
Mm.
so so I had lots of doubts, and then so then you had to, again, I had to refine my thinking. I had to question the assumptions. I had to, check the business models. So that also put me deeper into understanding the realities of the true realities, the true character and essence of the business. uh,
Okay.
yeah, so
Okay.
doubts, yes, every day, but doubts to stall your journey, uh, not really, because it kept
Okay.
on moving.
Okay. So in our life journey, we have someone or the other from our family or friends जो हमारा सबसे सपोर्टर होता है. So आपके केस में who was your biggest supporter in life?
So my biggest supporters, I think, have been my friends.
Okay.
In fact, the book I'm coming out on health is a friend who was there, who I met
Okay.
in 1976.
Okay.
So childhood friends. So all the
Hmm.
friends from my school, colleges, and different phases of my career, they have they have been my biggest supporters, and they have been, of course, there is family, immediate family, but beyond that, the friends and the friend network, and including some bosses or my
Hmm.
supervisors, who actually over a period of time became my friends. So
Right.
that's my that has been my great support system.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah.
तो like you आपकी इतनी सारी portfolios है and everything is there. So मतलब what does success to you mean exactly? How do you define success?
See, success earlier meant is meant different things to me, different
Okay.
points in life. And I
Okay.
think so earlier it was about higher responsibility, or
Right.
different higher designation, and
Right.
then uh, or let's say different role.
Right. Right.
But over a period of time, what I've realized is success to me now means one, what I mean, some people would call self-actualization, is that
Mm-hmm.
I am aligned with what I am. So it is in some
Okay.
sense I am pursuing my own purpose, or I
Mm-hmm.
am trying to achieve my what I think is my potential. I may be wrong or may be
Mm.
right. Uh, so that's one part of success. The other part of success, uh, it was at the back of my mind every time, is that what is the impact that you can make
Okay.
on as many people as possible. So one way, of course, is that you live your life in such a way that people around you see that as an example, and
Right.
that's an impact. The other way is that you do something which
Mm.
makes life for more people, many people as possible, better.
Right.
And this is what I'm trying to do through, for example, this health tech venture. So
Okay.
I'm trying to make help people become healthier or live better lives.
Okay. Okay.
So that's what success would mean to me.
Okay. And how do you stay grounded? Like you, people obviously look up to you. You've done so many things in the health tech, and you're redefining the system of health together. So how do you feel, and how do you stay grounded?
So so funnily, I really don't. I think I really haven't done anything. So so that's I mean, what's external realities and how what's your internal compass is, there
Okay.
actually could be completely different. So in my
Okay.
case, I think while I have done a few things based on what I wanted, uh, I'm not sure internally, that is
Okay.
how much how uh, how big or extraordinary it is. So that itself, that thought itself, keeps me grounded.
Grounded.
I also know that whatever you do, uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's a function of, lots of it is a function of your circumstances. So
Right.
so the place you are born in, the family you are born to, and the opportunities that you get, and
Mm-hmm.
there's so many other and in fact, for example, in India, the time or the year that you have been born in can also make a difference. For example, somebody born in 1971 with a similar level of, let's say, skills or talent,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
pursues gets into a different path, and somebody who
Right.
was did that in 41 has a different
Mm-hmm.
path. Somebody in 91 has a post reforms has a different path.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who is born now, now has got a different set of opportunities. So if you discount everything, your birth, your no your, let's say, your genetics,
Mm-hmm.
and then your circumstances, and a lot of serendipity, a lot of luck, and so you will see that what you have actually contributed to your life or success
Mm-hmm.
is very, very limited.
Okay.
so
Okay.
so there is so I think this thought, I mean, this not only at not only at an intellectual level, but also at when you realize this when I realize this, so so that
Okay.
that makes me
Okay.
stay
So
grounded.
कभी आपके माइंड में कभी कोई डर, any fear which came to your mind, and you how did you overcome it?
So this is also, I think, part of this entrepreneurial journey, which which teaches you that, because you are in a sense in a completely open, sometimes dark space, right? So what happens is, you have to internalize over a period of time, and when you reflect over your experiences, and
Right.
so what you realize is that, I mean, it's part of a lot of other philosophies also, is that nothing stays permanent, right?
Mm.
So something which is very bad today can be good tomorrow, and what you think is bad today uh,
Mm-hmm.
can be good tomorrow, and the other way also. so
Okay.
so for example, there is this Russian folktale, which is there, which is like the man as a horse, and this horse runs away. So the villagers come and tell him, so you are so unlucky, or you had only one horse, it has run away. So 3-4 days later, that same horse comes back with 3-4 other horses from the jungle, from the forest. And then these guys say, okay, yeah, so now you have 3-4 horses, you're so lucky. And he says, you never know. And then after another week or so, this
He's left with one horse again.
no, the horse kicks the man's son, and this kid breaks his leg. This young man breaks his leg. So this guy said, because you got the horses, and because you had the horses, so you have this bad luck. So so this is really bad. So this guy says, you never know. And after another month or so, there's a war. The king calls all the young men of the village to fight that war. So this guy is this guy's son leg is he's injured, so he doesn't have to go. So he's the only only young man who doesn't have to go. So these guys come back and tell him, "Oh, you are so lucky again
because you are the horses." Yeah. Right.
So this sort of keeps going on and on. So what I'm saying is, this nothing is no permanent impact. So you can change it. You can change it, yeah, and that's how constant, everything unfolds. Yeah.
Right. So एक बात बताइए, अगर लाइफ ने आपको कभी दूसरा मौका दिया, what is one thing which you could not do and you would like to redo that?
Sorry, what would I not do?
हाँ, मतलब something in your bucket list which you could not do if life gave you another chance to start from scratch. What was one thing that you would like to do apart from your writing and your health tech? कुछ ऐसी चीज जो आपका मन था और you could not do but you want to do it?
So I think lots of things, but all minor. I think big things is amongst the big things is I would have, let's say, pursued more. I would have been more engaged with people. I would have pursued more friendships in school and college.
Okay.
And, else, I would have spent more time on interacting and with people and friends. I probably buried myself a little more in what I would call individual pursuits. So more time with other people. But time friends with friends and family, spend more time with friends and family. Yeah, okay. But I think that's part of the game, so it's not a big deal as such.
Okay. So आपने ये कहावत सुनी होगी ना, if life gives you lemons make lemonade. But I have this done it in a different way. That if life gives us lemonades, I'll make chocolate cake. दुनिया को जो सोचना है सोचो. So आपको कभी ऐसा लगा that one thing life has taught you the hard way, which you would like to tell people कि नहीं, I have learned it the hard way?
What has life taught me the hard way, right? So
any experience out of which you've come out more stronger?
So I think the retail experience I told you.
Right.
So that taught me lots of things again, the very, very hard way. Okay. So it told me, for example, the first thing it taught me was that when there is a lot of noise in the ecosystem, and you typically get swayed by that. And for example, here when the retail euphoria was happening in the country, there's not a single consultancy or single investment bank which did not come out with a fancy report, and we went by that. We went by the predictions.
Okay.
We went by the projections. So the first thing it taught me was that even if the entire world is talking in one direction, in one way, you still have to balance yourself. You still have to see the facts. Everybody could be wrong. Okay. The second thing is that it's like the human body. For everything you have a buffer. You need, let's say, if you see the heart, it has got a buffer capacity. It has, if you see the lungs, it has got a buffer
Mhm.
capacity. So to creating that buffer capacity every time is important. I mean, people do it in different ways, but people have to
Mm.
probably, we have to probably do it. I thought we'll have to do it more
Right.
systematically and more deliberately, more with more intent.
Okay.
So that's another thing. The third thing, it told me that when times are bad, when let's say the industry is getting shaken like this, uh,
Mhm.
what you are with people, the way you
Mm.
connect with people, and the way you have treated people when there are
Right.
good times, and so that has a better impact than anything else. So whenever times are good, you should not be over optimistic or over euphoric. When times are bad,
Mhm.
also you should stay calm. So this is one of things which that
I
experience.
would like to share a story here.
Yeah.
There's a friend of my husband. So when he was in the services. So when he was serving, उसने अपने एक sailor को छुट्टी जाना था, तो he really helped him, and his mother was on the deathbed, and उस sailor को छुट्टी नहीं मिल रही थी. So he helped him somehow or the other. He helped him. हेल्प करके भूल गए, बात खत्म हो गई. Then long time, मतलब just few years back, they were going on a छुट्टी, this friend. सो क्या होता है ना, उसके बैग में बाई चांस कुछ मतलब वो बुलेट का शेल, डॉटर्स इज वेरी स्मॉल, तो वो शेल आ गया. एंड ही वाज अ नेवल ऑफिसर एंड इट कुड हैव बीन रियली बैड. बट बाई चांस दैट गार्ड वाज देयर इन द सिक्योरिटी. सो ही
Mhm.
रिमेंबर्ड, अच्छा सर, आप हो, आपने मेरी हेल्प की है. एंड somehow the other he helped him and he came out scot free. So
Oh,
I mean,
that's a lovely story. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, no, no, it's a true story.
Yeah.
So उन्होंने उसकी
Yeah, true
हेल्प करी
story.
and it
Lovely true
came
story.
back. So
Mhm.
the good you do, it really comes back. That I
It
also
can come
believe.
back. Yeah, correct, correct.
It comes back
Absolutely.
in any way or the other. I believe
Correct.
in that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So next आपसे ये पूछना चाह रही थी मैं कि जैसे talent and consistency. According to you, which is more consistent? Like which is more useful, talent or consistency?
So consistency any day,
Okay,
because yeah. So I don't know. First thing, it is very difficult to define talent, and
right.
the second thing is when you are doing something,
Mm-hmm.
the equations or variables won't really fit in every time. So even if you have,
Yeah,
let's say, somebody has lots of talent,
right,
the variables don't work in your favor every time. But what
right.
happens when you're consistent, which means you are motivated, you have this character to
Mm.
stay the course despite ups and downs.
Right.
With time, uh, some of these variables someday have to work in your favor. So
Mm.
consistency always wins. That's number one. Number two, also with consistency, also means that you are doing the same task every day. So you are
Mm.
improving your level of skills. You're improving your level of excellence, and
Mm.
uh, and that's the way to go. So talent uh, is something like, it's very very ambiguous, it's very subjective, and you
Mm.
don't know when you're saying a, a talented guy can win. You don't know if he
Mhm.
doesn't pursue the task, and because the task, it's nature of the task, nature of the
Mhm.
ecosystem or the system around the task also keeps changing. So
Okay.
we have seen many, for example, if you see the history of history of talented so-called geniuses, many of them
Mm.
really fallen by the wayside. And whereas people who have been consistent and who have been persistent in their endeavors, they have
Mm.
succeeded much more than any talent guy.
Yeah. Right.
You take a
Right.
Sachin Tendulkar, for example. He's, of course, some is talent, but he's been the most hardworking guy around. I was just the other day listening to some other cricketers who were uh,
Mhm.
somebody like, let's say, Kevin Peterson, who was the English player, who was one of the best in his time
Mhm.
for the
Okay.
English cricket team.
Right.
He
Right.
was the most hardworking in his team. You see,
Right.
Ronaldo is the most hardworking. So everybody you think is, you call talented.
Mhm.
Actually, they have been more consistent. They have been more hardworking rather than
Mm.
they're not really dependent on talent to take
Mm.
them wherever they are.
Okay. So success, though, you've been really tasted success. You've been really
Sorry.
successful. you've really tasted success and you've been really successful in all your ventures. So kabhi aapko rejection ya failure kabhi laga, and how did you deal with that?
So I think if you do lots of things like this and then take slightly unstructured paths,
Right.
you face rejections and failures. I mean, what you would call generally are seen as rejection failures many times. So, but but I have realized that what we call failure is not. I mean, typically when, let's say, I was younger, I used to take failure as a judgment on myself, and
Right.
it used to be overwhelming. And
Mm-hmm.
but what I realized was that failure is an outcome of the variables in play at that point in time. Like
Mm-hmm.
success is an outcome of the variables in play at that time. So it was nothing which was a judgment on me. So which I had a tendency, for example, to personalize failure or success, and
Mm-hmm.
so I see failure or success in somewhat in a detached way,
Right.
as an just as an outcome of some circumstances which are
Right.
not me, which are, I'm related to the circumstances in some way, and I'm a part of the circumstances, but they're not really me. So that's how I see failure.
Mm.
No, now coming
Okay.
to rejection can actually operate according to me in two levels. One,
Mm-hmm.
if something is getting rejected, let's say you are developing a product and
Mm.
it gets rejected by the market. So what
Right.
it means is that either it means that you have to do something, you have to improve. So
Mm.
that's a great feedback. Rejection
Mm-hmm.
itself is a great feedback. So
Right.
that's one way of looking at it. The other thing about rejection is when people reject you. so
Yeah.
so so so, we feel dejected and we feel demoralized. But when
Mm.
people reject you, uh, you have to understand that that person who is rejecting you, I mean, that's how I see it. He or she doesn't know everything that you know about that situation
Right.
or that
Right.
issue.
Right. Exactly.
That person is coming from a very limited angle, from a limited perspective,
Knowledge. Yeah.
especially about this issue. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that perspective, or even if that person is completely right in his or her sense,
Mm-hmm.
but that's coming from a very limited knowledge of this situation. So it
Mm-hmm.
really, so it's not, so I mean, we should not bother too much about it.
Okay, so that like leads me to the next question. People, you cannot make all the people happy all the time. So many people must have criticized you, your work. So how did that affect your personality, or were you affected by it?
I think it's the same thing like failure and rejection. Uh,
Right, right.
while I had a tendency to see it as very negatively, I don't do it that way, because I've
Okay,
understood at a fundamental level that this is not about me. This is about a situation, and this is about. So either it's a great feedback, okay, or
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter, because the other person is coming from a very limited perspective or limited
Right,
knowledge
right.
of that matter. So it really doesn't make a
Okay,
difference to me.
okay. So like हमारे लिए every day is a new day, and
Sorry, yeah.
we live in the moment. So कभी ऐसा होता है that you're feeling low or a little maybe I won't use the word depressed, that's a strong word, but maybe feeling low. So how do you deal with that?
No, I feel low. So quite a number of times, like everybody. I mean, I think most
Okay,
people would be doing.
okay,
Yeah. So low. I mean, I'm talking in terms of work and even other things. But yeah. So the way I deal with low is, I know that it is not permanent. Like, we were talking about it a little earlier, and
okay.
the second is, I have, for example, from a work point of view, I know that I want to do something,
Right.
and so I go back to my and then I go back to my diary. Now I
Okay.
see no, I journal quite a bit. So I go back to my diary, and then I see, okay, on 27th November 2021, this was the situation, and this is nothing, doesn't exist anymore at all. Okay.
Okay.
So you realize that no, what you were thinking, you are sucked into that present, sucked into those circumstances.
Okay.
So much of conflict and bitterness or whatever. Okay, but it really means nothing after no, some time. I know it's. I mean, I get a business newspaper, and it so
Okay.
happened that I was traveling for 2 3 months. So what happened
Okay.
when I traveled that much? When I was out for that much, the old papers were kept. So I come back and just glance through the papers and read some
Okay.
important pieces. Right?
Okay.
And what I'm seeing is that when you get the newspaper that day, I mean, so you think everything is important. All the news items are important. All the columns are important.
Right.
And
Right.
you spend, let's say, 30 minutes on it. Now, when I see it, I'm saying everything is irrelevant, even just three
Okay.
months after the event has happened.
Okay.
So that's how I think, that's how lows and the so-called highs work also.
Okay. So we'll make some light questions for you also. Little maybe a rapid fire thing, which you
Yeah,
just have to answer maybe in a one word or one sentence. Tea or coffee?
coffee.
Coffee all the way.
Yeah,
And you're an early bird or a night owl?
early riser. So 5 a.m.
Oh, that early. And gym or walk?
No, gym
Gym.
and it.
And if we say Kindle or a hard bound book,
No, the hardbound, I mean, the paper books.
so that comes to the next question. As you
Yeah.
know, we'll talk about your book, Be the Leaders.
Okay. Yeah.
So can you
So,
tell us like
yeah.
what
So,
inspired you
so
to write the book?
see, I was, no, I was a very shy guy earlier.
Okay.
And then it so happened that I was kind of thrust into this leadership positions. And
Okay.
then, you were not really taught leaders. I mean, there is no leadership. The interesting thing about leadership is that uh, there is no one particular leadership model that which can be applied anywhere. For
Okay.
example, Steve Jobs is supposed to be a great leader in Apple, but if you
Mm-hmm.
apply his leadership theories in every company, there'll be disaster. Or let's say, no,
Okay.
or let's say you take ad agencies. There is a particular leadership style. There have
Mm-hmm.
been different kinds of leaders, and you apply that leadership style to, let's say, a consulting company. You have
Okay.
a problem. Or let's say army leadership style
Mm-hmm.
to let's say bureaucracy or politics. You have a
Mm-hmm.
problem.
Right.
So the point is, leadership is multifaceted. It's got many dimensions. It is very contextual,
Okay.
and you can't apply it anywhere. So when you are, for example, when I was put in leadership positions,
Mm-hmm.
how did I tackle? How did I go about it? I saw my immediate, let's say, supervisor. I saw people around. I remembered, let's say, I was also in an army school for some time. So I saw the
Okay.
military leadership. So it was a hodgepodge of ideas. And
Okay.
then you have your own judgment. So you do mix all that and do something. Some
Okay.
of them are effective, some of them are not effective. And then you again working in a company or working in a particular system, you see limited set of uh, styles or approaches, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was very open-ended and confusing to me. So I
Okay.
read a lot, and I tried to watch a lot. But then again, I mean, actually, this journey is still continuing.
Okay.
I It's difficult to pin down what good leadership is. So
Mm-hmm.
and then I realized that what I had gone through,
Right.
the other people who are joining, starting off in the careers, would be also experiencing the same thing.
Okay.
So this was my attempt to demystify leadership, just to see all angles and all dimensions of leadership. Uh, Not all, I mean, as many as possible, uh,
Okay.
and see and throw, understand them deeply and throw a little light on them, so that
Okay.
somebody who is in my position, let's say now, I mean, what I
Mm.
was, let's say, 20 years back, 25, when I was starting
Right.
off,
Mm-hmm.
uh, would see it and understand leadership a little better. So that was my idea. So it is like a semi-academic book.
Okay. Okay. So you also co-authoring a book along with a physician.
Yeah.
So can you tell us something about that book also?
Yeah, so that's I mean that's the current challenge we are tackling. So, for example, so what has happened is last, especially last 60 to 70 years, or maybe 100 years,
Okay.
the human longevity, the lifespan has really increased. So it has increased because of advances in medical care,
Okay.
and and but at the same time, and the disease profile has changed. Earlier, the diseases were mostly what is called contagious or infectious diseases. So now, and there is a lot of other social factors happening in society, which,
Right.
you're eating a lot more processed foods because of industrialization and lifestyles that we have today. So you're eating a lot of processed foods. You are doing much lesser physical activity.
Yeah.
You have fragmentation of the families or the structures, family structures. So you have a lot of mental stress, and because of the kind of jobs and competition and globalization, and so all these factors put together, and then there is substance abuse, which is alcohol or smoking or whatever.
Yeah.
All this is change the disease profile. So earlier, if so what is called lifelong or chronic or non-communicable diseases. So they today are about 75% of the what is called the global death and disease burden.
Okay.
So which means, and this is the major problem to be tackled by societies and individuals. And what are these problems? What are these diseases? These are like cancer, heart attack, strokes. Like we see it all around us, and there are risk factors for it. Like there is obesity, there is BP, hypertension, there is cholesterol, so etc. Then there are diabetes, of course. So
Okay.
so our goal has so these risk factors accentuate or increase your chances for fatal diseases or huge disease burden
Okay.
with a longer lifespan. So so what you're saying is that while your lifespan has increased because of medical care, your what is called health span, where you are functionally completely independent, and you are able to typically do the things that a human being would like to do, live independently, do everything
Right.
without major dependence, without any major disability, that you are not able to. That's called health span. uh,
Okay.
so the gap between health span and lifespan is about, on an average globally, 10 years, and in India is about 13-14 years.
Okay.
And in fact, longevity, I would today say that longevity is becoming a problem, in the sense that in the sense that we see so many people who are bedridden for 5 or 10 years. We have people in Alzheimer's,
Yeah. Yeah.
dementia, or,
Mm-hmm.
suffering from cancer.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
our attempt is to make people aware about this issue and tell them how do you reduce the gap between health span and lifespan
Okay. Okay.
through
So.
managing your lifestyle diseases or risk for lifestyle diseases better.
Okay. So basically, you've written books on health, and you've always been in the health tech innovative field and all. So अगर आप इस profession में नहीं होते, which other profession would you have been in?
No, my great love has always been history. So
Okay.
so I think I would have been a historian. So
Okay.
that's one of the things. I keep reading all these
Okay.
biographies, and I try to. I think the pattern of history keeps getting repeated, and
Okay.
understanding history and understanding how things have evolved gives you a
Okay.
better lens on life today. I mean, your current life.
Okay. Okay. So, like, you watch movies definitely. One movie or one book which you've read, which has inspired you, and maybe you would like to write something about that.
So I think it's not one, but I think maybe 2-3 books which have really impacted how or influenced how I look at life.
Okay.
The first one I would say is this book called The Selfish Gene by Richard
Okay.
Dawkins.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, uh, so it made me realize that the roots of human behavior are biological, and your and the fundamental idea of the book is that natural selection operates at the gene level, not at the
Okay.
individual or the species level. So that
Okay.
explains a lot of things that people do. For example, why do, for example, people uh, sacrifice everything for the children?
Mm-hmm.
So, so this book says that we are, as humans or other animals,
Mm-hmm.
we are vehicles for the genes. So
Mm-hmm.
we are gene carriers, and what all that the genes want to do is that they want to survive and replicate, and they want to prosper. Them genes want to prosper, and they make us behave in such ways that they will survive and prosper. They will become, more and more. So
Right.
if you understand that at a very deep level, you know that a lot of human behavior can be explained, and that's what in fact, this is one of the most important books in biology, and this used in economics, is used in international relations and human behavior, and all. So that's one. The second, of course, is which influenced me is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. So
Yeah, it's a beautiful book. I also read
it's
it.
like, so everybody knows that, and this is such a fundamental, simple idea, but very powerful idea, that
Right.
everything can be taken away from you, but you still
Mm.
have the freedom to choose your response.
Yes.
So that's so amazing. And the third book I would say is this book called Siddhartha by Herman S, which is
About Buddha.
not exactly about Buddha, but this man, he starts off on his journey. He's restless. He's a young man, talented young man. He's restless. He's ambitious. Then he wants to understand what is life, what is truth. So he
Mm-hmm.
does many things in his life, but then finally he comes back and he realizes that the present and what you are seeing today, or what you're
Mm-hmm.
seeing when you're present, uh, is what it is, is the truth. and
Right.
uh, and everything, all the polarities sort of coexist. So you have joy and
Mm.
suffering, you discovers it in the river. So you have, the river is static, I mean, in the same
Right.
place, but it is flowing. So, and so he realizes that life is a set of polarities, and life is today. I mean, it's the present. So
Mm-hmm.
I think
These two
these
books,
three,
yeah.
yeah. So from books point of view,
So for all of us, health is wealth, definitely.
yeah.
And you've been in this field and you've healthathon. That's a very health tech innovative. So, with your books and your initiative, what legacy would you like to leave behind?
So I want people to be alert, to be aware, and to engage in habits that
Right.
we are talking about, or we are suggesting in the app, and what we're
Mm-hmm.
going to suggest in the book.
Right.
And so I mean, to me, if there is a legacy, it is many people becoming aware, many more people becoming alert, and they are actually getting those concrete benefits in their own lives, and they see their
Mm-hmm.
lives healthy, the health span actually rising by 1 year, 2 years, or even more. So
Okay.
that's the legacy. I think that would be very, very satisfying.
Okay. So we'll wrap up the session by your advice to our viewers.
So I'm not sure. I know I'm sort of I can advise, but
No, no,
I
definitely,
don't.
because health is one factor we cannot overlook.
Correct, correct. So health. So from a health point of view, I think no. I see a lot of younger people today also becoming much more health conscious. Of course, this is much more in the media. People are talking about it. So I
Right.
think for because I sort of see it in great detail every time, and things are, health is really, things are really bad in India.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
I mean, there's a doctor from Chennai, Apollo. The other day she said, I think she was right. He said in India, when you check an adult, uh, when you check an adult, you the default assumption is that he or he is pre-diabetic. So
Yeah.
that's how rampant it is. Okay, and so my suggestion is health, of course, is important, and the one thing which stuck to me, which one of the reasons I mean, this is how it started off, is that if you have 24 hours and this is the body which is carrying you for 24 hours every day, at least 1 hour you have to give it to the body. I mean, if
Definitely.
somebody is carrying you for 24 hours, you you give it that 1 hour. So
You put
that's,
it
I
very
think, for
nicely.
sorry, yeah.
You
So
put
that
it very nicely, yeah.
yeah. So this is like people of, let's say, particular vintage. For younger people, I think what is I mean, I would, let's say, tell my son that
Hmm.
with AI, with all these geopolitical disturbances, and the
Right.
world is becoming much more disruptive. Life is becoming
Hmm.
much more disruptive. So resilience, the capacity to handle pressure and then again rise up is very important. So
Right.
yeah.
So it was lovely to have you on our show, Salilji, and hope we stay connected, and we'll have more such sessions soon, so that by your advice and your books, we can have more healthy people in our universe.
I I sincerely hope so, and thanks very much, and it's been really wonderful to talk to you here.
Same here, same here. Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you very much.